All right, all right. We're gonna give it about 30 seconds for everybody to get online. Welcome. Alrighty. Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our eighth and final edition of for this series, the final edition of the Get Global live stream, where we talk about understanding cultural differences between Switzerland and the US. My name is Link Brown with Get Global. I help Swiss SMEs drive growth of their business in America. Francisca?
Hello, everyone. Yes, it's actually I'm really sad that this is the last session of this series, but maybe let's see what's comes next. My name is Francisca. I'm helping professionals to grow through communication, and yeah, thank you, Link.
Very cool. All right. So, everyone, so again, today's the last day of the series, and we thought as we were planning this out, we picked 8 topics, and we've gone through quite a few of them, but we said we wanted to end on safety. And because it's a really interesting topic for entrepreneurs, given that safety is something that we don't necessarily we'll talk about it. We'll get into the details of it, but today's topic is safety. And what is the definition of safety? Safety, the definition is the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. Okay, so we wanted to talk about this because sometimes, I think from a cultural perspective, sometimes we see safety through the lens of military power. Maybe if you're American, you think we're safe because we have the strongest military in the world, or economic security, or whatever. Economic security because our economies are generally stable. Switzerland is obviously a very stable place, or it's predictable and there's pragmatic steps that you live in a very high income country. And Switzerland and the US are just high income countries versus the rest of the world. But, if you want to connect with other cultures, if you want to grow in a new market, if you actually want to even meet new people, it actually requires, and people who are different from you, it actually requires kind of breaking through your vision of whatever safety is, and then and going into some unknown, or we'll call it risky waters. So today, we wanted to make our conversation a little bit more personal today. We wanted to tell you a little bit about our own histories and what led us on our own journeys away from safety, the safety that we maybe grew up with and understood, and let you learn more about each of our own perspectives on safety, because it's not necessarily Swiss or American, but it's really Link's perspective or Francisca's perspective, and then maybe give you some encouragement as we in this journey and as we go on into 2024. By the way, Happy New Year. Didn't say that
Yeah,
either.
happy New Year, everyone.
It didn't even come to mind. But Happy New Year, everybody. Really, it's we're really looking forward to an exciting 2024. So let me give you a little bit of my history. So I'm from America. I grew up on the outskirts of a city called Cincinnati, Ohio, which, if you're not from the States, I usually don't even tell you I'm from Cincinnati. I just say I'm from near New York, because that's all people know. But Cincinnati is a small town in the middle of the city. And I figured I would show a few pictures to kind of tell my story as well. So I'm going to show you. So this is me at, I think I was 8 years old. You could probably tell which one is me inside of this, in this picture, because this is the little town I grew up in. Absolutely loved it, by the way. It was great. I grew up, the youngest of 5, so these are my 4 sisters with me as a little kid. And I definitely grew up with 2 parents in the household, at least initially. We had a house that my parents built. And I definitely felt safe. Again, when you have four sisters, it's like, well, it's like having 4, 5 mothers, right? Plus my dad around. But then things got a little tricky for me. At 10 years old, my dad he left our family, really abandoned our family, and we were thrust into poverty. We had to move to a low income neighborhood where people maybe looked more like me, but really didn't share a lot of my values. I saw drugs, violence, guns, and things like that for the first time, and it was really like a lot of negativity that I saw for the first time in my life. Um, and I had built this like over time I had to build this like rainbow coalition of friends who were really good friends for me. So this is a picture of us from 2 years ago at the funeral of a friend of ours. So you can see an Indian guy, a couple white guys, a couple black guys. There's actually a lot more of us, but we had this like kind of rainbow coalition of friends, and I found safety inside of that. I found safety inside of just really connecting with the people uh, who had similar values. Didn't matter what they looked like, didn't matter what their socioeconomic status was. It really mattered what they believed. And I remember, like, so I went through college, went to Carnegie Mellon University. It's a very good school in the U.S. Get my degree. I'm in the corporate world, and I remember one of the things that changed my life and my perspective on what safety meant was a trip that I took to the Dominican Republic. So I used to go with my church, and we would build houses and churches in rural parts of Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic, it shares an island with Haiti. It's in the Caribbean, and so Dominican is a Spanish speaking part, and Haiti um, is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and is actually um, French speaking. And I spoke French growing up. So just to show you one last picture is I'll show you the picture of. So this was me in 2003, and a friend of mine. His name was Asnel, still around today. But this was the first time I remember I got there, and I met this guy. He looked just like me. We spoke French, so he didn't speak any English. So I spoke French to him, and I realized like we had similar values, we had similar goals, we had similar dreams. But actually, I saw him being truly discriminated against. I saw him really a person who had a lot of dreams, like wanted to start his own plumbing business, but couldn't put together the $500 to do it, to do that, and had literally slept in a ditch the night before we started our project, so he could provide for his family and send money back. And it just totally changed my way of thinking about what safety meant, because I had thought for a while that maybe with my new situation at home that maybe I wasn't, but I realized that I lived in America, that there was opportunity for me, that I mean, regardless of my circumstance, he had slept in a ditch. I had flown down literally first class into to go down. I had a great job. He could barely put together and could not put together the $500 just to start his and go back to school to start his own plumbing business. And I realized like that safety was different for me, and that the idea of what safety was different. So it just really changed my mindset. And I would say that in America, if you want the safe route, America is really not the place for you, right? Like if you want, um, because there's too much turbulence in America for things just to be perfectly safe. When I say safe, meaning nothing ever goes wrong, you know. But I had to redefine it, and I said to say that safety is all about being secure in my values, but really fearless enough to know that I can go out into the world and explore new things and accomplish things. So I want to give you guys that perspective, because again, I felt if how I grew up kind of understanding safety, and how it kind of changed for me when I realized that there was another world out there of people who didn't have things. And it just makes me more confident to know that whether it's for myself or whether I'm helping clients, that it's something that I can do to help to move past our comfort zone and into a place of really accomplishing our dreams. So that's me. That's a little long way of talking about it. Francesca, what do you think?
Great, Link. Thanks a lot for this story and the nice pictures. I really enjoyed seeing them. And definitely talking about my perspective or my journey in combination with the word safety, it actually starts pretty similar than yours, just on the other side of the globe. So I also grew up in a very small village with siblings and parents, and we were just like all the time outside. So in the woods, we even slept outside. We were day and night on the street, outside, playing, running around. Why I'm saying this? Because we felt really safe, and obviously our parents felt safe about this as well. So there were no concerns about this whole thing. And it's almost, I feel it's almost like in a bubble. Of course, you worried about this and that even as a child, but it's actually just not something to worry about. My first kind of disruption, I would say, of this safe bubble was when I was about a teenager, about 17, and my parents opened the house to give accommodation to people, to refugees that had to flee their country and find their, let's say, their future in a new country. They didn't speak the language, we didn't either. So and I first time was confronted with like worries or concerns they had. So it was a totally different cultural exploration as we do now. Worries and concern they have that never would have come to my mind. And it gave me also for the first time something like, oh, we are really lucky to be here because we do not need to worry about, I don't know, that the government search for us or be scared of police, etc. So that's kind of safety was there. Then, as I continued my journey, I was a bit adventurous. I wanted to travel the world, and I actually married really young. I almost still was a teenager, but not anymore fully. And I married somebody from Latin America, from one of the really poorest countries in Latin America. And I went there for quite some months. And that's when I actually got, I would almost call it a cultural shock. So while I was not so concerned of my immediate safety, but I realized about the stability and safe place we have here. Safety more in terms of what can happen to us or not happen to us. So if I lose my house, my home in Switzerland, I know where to go and I get support. If I can't afford my health insurance, I will get help if I go to the correct places. And that really brought me into the or gave me, especially when I came back, the view of being very, very privileged. And also in terms of worries and feeling safe, not be so concerned about it. Because when we move to having a job or losing a job, even then we are kind of taken care of. We are not just, as you described, your colleagues needing to sleep in a ditch. And that gives a totally different feeling of being safe as a person in your environment, regardless the stability and everything we talked before. And I think that sometimes makes us also look, at least for me, I always try to put myself in other people's shoes when they feel unsafe or worried, because you can only compare if you're really on the same level of privilege. And now in my in my actual status. So I talked now a lot when I was younger. Currently, I mean, now having 2 children, of course, safety becomes an additional topic. Safety, that you're concerned for your children, but not because of your the state or the financials, but more about with whom are they going to get involved, etc. So this
Mhm.
safety for me has many levels of of being, and for me it's basically in what can I trust,
Mhm.
and I can trust in myself. I can trust in my country that provides me a lot of safety. Even if things go wrong, there is always a way out. And yeah, I think that is something for me that is really crucial in this journey. And I
Mhm.
don't know. I feel there's quite some similarity between the both cultures.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I think, um, yeah, because I even knew that even when we were U.S. poor, because that's not really poor in the rest of the world, right? Like, um, I still had love for my family, right? Like, we never went
Mhm.
without food. We never went without. I mean, we went without electricity, but like I realize that there are things that you can count on. There are people you can count on. If you're a person of faith, like it's probably something that would be important to you too, understanding like more of a long-term perspective on things. And I just realized like, um, yeah, I like the point that you said, like there are things that you can always go back to and trust. And so I think as I think about encouragement, as I was hearing you speak, two things came to mind, two things I wrote down. The first is like having trust in like what you already have, like understanding what you already
Mhm.
have or what kind of um foundation is already built behind you. Again, I always knew or I didn't really understand it, but I learned to understand it as I've traveled the world. Like that, yeah, I could go back to America, but also I could go back to my family who loves me and all these things,
Yeah.
like to understand what my real base was. But I also, and this is one of the things that I talk to about with my clients, is I say everyone understands the basics of business, um, and I feel like your plans are never completely wrong. Maybe they're 80%, but they're 20% off. But what most people do when they're confronted with problems, what they do is they go back to what they knew. They go
Yeah.
back to their culture. And it's kind of like if I'm selling to Swiss people and I'm running against obstacles, and instead I try to become more American, it's going to be a problem. It doesn't work. The idea is don't go back, it's to go forward. It's to like really lean in more into whatever that difficulty is, because you already know that like if you lean in, you still have that security behind you. I don't know. So
Mhm.
that just that thought process of saying I'm going to continually go forward and not go back is really like one of the most important things that I'm kind of taking out this whole safety piece.
I would totally agree to that. I think it's very human to go back what you know. And it's in many aspects, even if you deal in business with clients, if you deal with conflicts with
Hmm.
teams, when it becomes difficult, you see that pattern very often. Just go back. That is
Hmm.
safe. That is what we know. But
Hmm.
actually, yes, I totally agree. Lean forward and go with what makes sense, and
Hmm.
maybe take this one step at a time and trust in
Right.
in in the new things or in the different things.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So we're almost at our 20 minutes. Guys, this has been a really fantastic journey. Really appreciate all of you being a part of this. Again, Francesca, I've learned so much about Swiss culture just in our exchanges together. Really looking forward to whatever's next, both for you, but also for the two of us as we kind of see what kind of business things we can move forward with. Everyone, seriously, it's 2024. Go forward, make it yours. And yeah, we're just excited for each and every person.
Thank
Francesca.
you. Also from my side, Link, thank you very much for everything. I also learned a lot, and let's see what's next. And thank you
Cool.
everyone for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic 2024, and we will all see you soon. All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.